The Merchant of Venice is essentially a play about property, in telling the story of a merchant who treats his own flesh as property to secure a loan, and the moneylender who calls in the debt. The play asks questions about the value of life itself. A young Venetian, Bassanio, needs a loan of 3,000 ducats so that he can woo Portia, a wealthy Venetian heiress. He approaches his friend Antonio, a merchant. Antonio is short of money because all his wealth is invested in his fleet, which is currently at sea. He goes to a Jewish moneylender, Shylock, who hates Antonio because of Antonio's anti-Semitic behavior towards him. Shylock nevertheless agrees to make the short-term loan, but in a moment of dark humor, he makes a condition. The loan must be repaid in 3 months or Shylock will exact a pound of flesh from Antonio. Antonio agrees, confident that his ships will return in time. Because of the terms of Portia's father's will, all suitors must choose from among the 3 caskets, one of which contains a portrait of her. If a suitor chooses the correct casket, Portia had to marry him. But if he didn't, he must vow never to marry or court another woman. The princes of Morocco and Aragon fail the test and are rejected. As Bassanio prepares to travel to Belmont for the test, his friend Lorenzo elopes with Shylock's daughter, Jessica. Bassanio chooses the lead casket which contains her picture, and Portia happily agrees to marry him immediately. Meanwhile, 2 of Antonio's ships have been wrecked and Antonio's creditors are pressurizing him for repayment. Shylock sues Antonio for a pound of his flesh and is put in prison. Word comes to Bassanio about Antonio's predicament. He hurries back to Venice, leaving Portia behind. Portia follows him, accompanied by her maid Nerissa. They are disguised as a male lawyer and his clerk. Now we take you to the court of Venice, where Antonio, Shylock and the Duke of Venice, along with Bassanio, Gratiano and others are present in the court. The court is filled with Venetians as it was an unusual, never heard before case where a man was suing another living man for a pound of flesh. Everyone was eager to know what the verdict would be.
Antonio, I pity you. You're up against such a hard-hearted person that there is no chance of him being merciful.
Your Grace has taken great pain to try and convince Shylock to be merciful, but it is of no use. I have resigned myself to my fate.
Well, Shylock, this is a very strange case, and all of us in this court, including me, believe that you will finally agree to forego the penalty and take only the principal. Taking into consideration his recent misfortune, I request you to forego the interest and we expect a gentle answer from you.
I have your Grace sworn on the holy Sabbath to have my pound of flesh and nothing else. If you deny me justice, then the law of Venice will be questioned. I do hate Antonio and I do not intend to lose the case against him.
That is no way to answer the Duke, Shylock. Why do you hate Antonio so much?
I am in no way bound to answer you, Bassanio.
Leave him alone, Bassanio. It is useless arguing with him. If you stood on the beach and ordered the ocean tide to reduce its height, or if you asked the wolf why he made the mother sheep cry for the lamb he had eaten, or you may prevent the mountain pines from swaying their tops and making a sound when there is a strong wind, all these would be possible. But it is impossible to soften Shylock's heart. So please stop pleading with him and let the judgment be passed, so that the Jew can have his pound of flesh.
Shylock, here is the 6,000 ducats for the 3,000 you had lent Antonio.
Even if you were to offer me 6 times that amount, I would not accept it. I want my pound of flesh and nothing else.
Shylock, how can you expect mercy when you're not merciful?
I haven't done any wrong, then why should I be merciful? Would you set your slaves free and marry them to your sons and daughters? Will you allow them to sleep on soft beds and feed them with delicious food? Well, if I asked you to do it, you would say, those slaves are mine, I have paid for them, how can I let them free? I too have paid 3,000 ducats for a pound of Antonio's flesh, and I can do what I please with it. I have come to this court for justice. Can I have justice, please?
Shylock, with my authority as a judge, I can dismiss the case. But I will not do so. I have asked for my learned and wise friend Bellario to come and try this case, and he is expected in the court any time now.
My lord, there is a messenger outside this court with a letter from Dr. Bellario. He has just come.
Call the messenger.
Take heart, Antonio. The Jew can have my flesh, blood and bones. I will make sure that not a drop of your blood is spilt.
Bassanio, I am a sickly old man waiting for death. You are young and have your whole life before you. I want you to write my epitaph after my death, so don't talk about sacrificing your life for me.
Has Dr. Bellario from Padua sent you?
Yes, Your Grace.
Why are you so intent on sharpening the knife, Shylock?
To cut my pound of flesh from the man who was unable to pay his debt.
You are not sharpening the knife on the sole of your shoes, Shylock, but your soul that is filled with hatred for Antonio. Can nothing soften your heart towards Antonio, Shylock?
None of your words will soften my heart towards Antonio.
You are the worst creature on the earth, Shylock. The soul of a wolf that was hanged for killing men must have entered your body when you were in your mother's womb. That is why you are like a wolf, bloodthirsty and greedy.
None of your screaming and shouting can deter me from changing my mind. I want my pound of flesh and I will have it at any cost.
The letter from Bellario states that there is a young and learned doctor of law. Where is he?
He is outside, Your Grace, waiting for your permission to come in.
3 or 4 of you go and bring the learned judge with honor into the court. In the meantime, the court shall hear what Bellario has to say in his letter.
Your Grace, when your letter reached me, I was very ill and a young lawyer from Rome had come to visit me. His name is Balthazar. Since he was present there, we discussed the strange case together and looked into several books to find a favorable solution to this unusual case. After long discussions and deliberation, I send you my opinion and instructions on the case. This has been strengthened by Balthazar's own learning and insight. Since I am unfit to travel, he requested me to send him instead. I do recommend this highly learned, wise, young judge and request you not to be misled by his appearance, but to judge him by his wisdom and let him represent me at the trial.
You have heard the contents of Bellario's letter. I do respect his opinion and will let the wise young judge to take over the case. Oh, here comes the doctor. Do you come from Bellario?
I do, my lord.
Welcome to the court of Venice. Please take your place. Are you familiar with the case that has been brought to this court?
Yes, my lord. I would like to know who here is the merchant and who is the Jew.
Antonio and Shylock, step forward.
Is your name Shylock?
Shylock is my name.
The case that is come to this court is an unusual one. Yet, it is within the laws, and the law of Venice cannot find fault with Shylock, and it must give its judgment. Do you know that your life is in danger?
Yes, I do, my lord.
Do you confess that you have entered into an agreement with Shylock?
I do.
Then, there is only one thing that can save Antonio, and that is Shylock must show mercy.
And on what ground should I be merciful?
Mercy drops as gentle rain from heaven, and the place it falls on is twice blessed. It blesses him that gives and him that takes. The mightiest of the mightiest king, when he shows mercy, it adds luster to his crown and scepter. Earthly power is given to kings, but mercy is a quality of God. Shylock, consider your case for justice and show mercy. When we pray for mercy and not for justice. We pray to God to forgive our trespasses as we forgive those who trespass against us. Therefore, Shylock, do not demand for justice from the court, but show mercy.
My deeds upon my head. I insist upon justice. Follow the course of law and give me my pound of flesh.
Is Antonio unable to pay the money he borrowed?
Yes, my lord. I will clear the debt in his place. I am willing to offer the amount twice over, and if that is not enough, I am willing to sign a bond to pay the amount 10 times over. If I fail to do so, I am willing to give my hands, head and heart as penalty. I plead with you to bend the law a little from its natural course. This little wrong you do will surely do a lot of good in saving the life of a good man. Do not let this cruel man have his way.
That cannot be done. The law cannot be twisted. If it is done once, it will be quoted as an example in the future, and this would lead to serious problems.
O Daniel, a wise young judge has come to court. I do respect you for your wisdom.
Can I have a look at the bond?
Of course, most reverend doctor. Here it is.
Shylock, why don't you take the money? 3 times more is offered to you.
I have sworn on the holy Sabbath to take a pound of flesh and nothing else. Why do you force me to commit a sin by going back on my promise? Not even for the court of Venice will I commit this sin.
Well then, this bond lawfully allows Shylock to cut a pound of flesh from the part nearest to Antonio's heart. Shylock, I once again ask you to be merciful. Take the money thrice over and let me tear the bond.
My lord, the bond can only be torn when it has been fulfilled according to what is written in it. A worthy judge like you, who refuses to bend the law, I ask you to follow the law and give your judgment. No power on earth can make me change my mind.
I beg you with all my heart to pronounce your judgment.
Well, bare your chest to Shylock's knife.
O noble judge, O excellent young man, you are too wise for your age.
Shylock, have you brought a balance to weigh the flesh?
Yes, I have it ready here.
And have you got a surgeon to stop the bleeding so Antonio does not bleed to death?
But there is no mention of that in the bond.
I am prepared to die. I have no regrets. I bid thee farewell, dear Bassanio. Fortune has been very kind to me than to others. It doesn't let me experience old age, hardships, and suffering. I am saved from all these. Fortune is merciful towards me. I get to escape all this by an early death. Speak well of me to your wife. Tell her of my love for you, and let her decide whether I am worthy and loyal of your love. Grieve not for me, for I pay your debt. I pay it willingly out of my love for you, and have no regret.
Antonio, I have a wife whom I dearly love, but my love for you is above everything else. I am willing to sacrifice my life if I can persuade this devil over here to free you from the bond.
I don't think your wife would appreciate what you have just said if she were present here in this court.
I too have a wife whom I love more than my life. I wish she were in heaven so she could plead with God to change the mind of this devilish creature.
Oh, these Christian husbands, how highly they regard their wives. I wish my daughter was married to someone like Barabbas, a notorious criminal, rather than a Christian.
Shylock, you can take a pound of flesh from Antonio's chest. The court orders it, as it legally belongs to you according to the bond.
Most rightful judge.
You must cut the flesh from his chest, as per the law, and the court awards it to you.
O learned judge, you have pronounced the right judgment. I have come prepared to cut the pound of flesh.
Wait a bit, Shylock. There is something else. This bond here does not give you a drop of blood. The words in the bond state a pound of flesh. And while you cut it, you must not spill a drop of blood. If you spill a drop of Christian blood, your wealth and possession will be taken by the court. For that is the law of Venice.
Oh, wise and upright judge. Did you hear that, Shylock?
Is that the law?
You can see it for yourself, for it is written in the book of law. You have declared in the whole court that you want justice, and that is what you will get.
Oh, learned judge, hear what is said, Jew.
I take the offer. Pay me the money 3 times over and I will let Antonio go.
Here is the money.
Wait, the Jew shall have his justice. He shall get nothing but his pound of flesh. So wait.
O wise and learned judge, O Jew, here is an upright judge.
Get ready, Shylock, to cut the flesh. Shed no blood, nor cut less nor more. If it is heavier or lighter than the weight of a strand of hair, you will die, and all your wealth and possession will be taken by the court.
A second Daniel, you have met your match, Jew.
Why do you hesitate, Shylock? Take your pound of flesh.
I don't want the money thrice over. Just give me my 3,000 ducats and let me go.
Here it is. I have it ready with me.
He has refused to accept the money in the open court. He shall get his justice or nothing.
Shall I just have my principal?
You shall have nothing but the pound of flesh as mentioned in the bond. You shall take it at your own risk or face the consequences.
Let the devil take him. I no longer wish to stay here and discuss this issue. I leave.
Wait a bit, Shylock. There is more to come. One of the laws of Venice states that if a foreigner conspires to take the life of a citizen of Venice, either directly or indirectly, then the person whom he has plotted against is entitled to half his wealth. The other half shall be handed over to the treasury of the court of Venice. The offender's life depends on the Duke, irrespective of what all others say. You, Shylock, have both directly and indirectly plotted against Antonio, and so half of your property goes to Antonio and the other half to the state. Now, plead for mercy from the Duke.
I beg you, Shylock, to ask the Duke for permission to hang you. You have lost all your wealth and you don't even have the money to buy a rope to hang yourself. So, I beg the court to provide a rope so he can hang himself.
I hope you realize now the difference between you and us. I shall pardon you even before you ask for it. As for half your wealth, it shall go to Antonio, and the other half, the court shall take possession of it. But if you are humble enough, it shall be reduced to just a fine.
The court is free to do that from the half that goes to the state treasury, but not from Antonio's share.
You are free to take my life. You have taken my house and my property and the very means of my survival. How am I supposed to survive? You have reduced me to nothing.
What mercy can you show him, Antonio?
Give him a rope to hang himself for God's sake.
I request the court to levy a fine on the half that comes to its treasury instead of taking it all. As for the other half that comes to me, I shall put it in a trust and give it to Lorenzo and his daughter after his death. This will be done on 2 conditions. First, he must become a Christian and he must make a deed leaving his property to his son-in-law, Lorenzo, and his daughter.
Unless you agree to these conditions, I shall withdraw what I have just pronounced.
Do you agree to it, Jew? Do you have anything to say?
I agree to the conditions.
Draw a deed of gift.
Permit me to go home. I am unwell. Send the gift deed home and I shall sign it.
You can leave now, but do not forget to sign the deed. Why don't you have dinner with me?
I beg you to pardon me. I must leave for Padua tonight as I have some urgent work.
I am sorry you can't join me for dinner. You are indebted to the young gentleman. See that you express your gratitude to him.
Most worthy gentleman, my friend and I have been acquitted by your wisdom. So please accept the 3,000 ducats which I owe Shylock as a token for all the trouble you have taken.
We are indebted to you. This small amount is not sufficient to repay the debt we owe you.
I am pleased that you are satisfied with the judgment that has been awarded. That in itself is payment enough. I will be happy to renew our friendship when we meet again. For now, I have to take leave.
I request you, sir, to accept something that will remind you of us.
If you insist so, give me your gloves, Antonio, and as for you, Bassanio, I shall take the ring that is on your finger. Now don't draw your hand back. I shall take the ring and nothing else, and don't deny me this.
This ring? It is not very valuable. I don't want to give you this cheap ring and belittle myself.
I will have nothing else but the ring. I think you don't wish to part with it.
There is a lot more attached to this ring than just the value. I can get you the most expensive ring in all Venice. Pardon me, I can't part with this ring.
Bassanio, you make tall promises, but you do not fulfill them. First, you beg me to take something, and when I ask you for the ring, you teach me how a beggar should be treated.
Good sir, this ring was given to me by my wife, and when she put it on my finger, she made me promise not to sell, give it away, or lose it.
You men make excuses not to part with things. Your wife would understand under what circumstances you parted with the ring. I assure you, she will not be angry with you for long. Peace be with you.
Bassanio, my dear friend, let the young judge have the ring. He deserves it. The promise you made to Portia must be outweighed in this situation by the judge's command and your love for me.
Hurry, Graciano, take this ring and give it to the young.
Have dinner at Antonio's house and hurry back to Belmont. The next day, Bassanio, Graciano, and Antonio reach Belmont and are awarded a warm welcome. Suddenly, loud shouts are heard, and on inquiring what the matter is, Nerissa tells Portia that Graciano has parted with the ring she had given him at the wedding. Portia scolds Graciano for breaking his promise and declares to all that Bassanio would never do such a thing. Bassanio tries to hide his hand, and Portia notices it and asks him to stretch out his hand. On finding the ring missing on his finger, she begins to accuse Bassanio for cheating her by giving the ring to a woman. Bassanio denies all the charges and tells Portia that he had given the ring to the young judge, not a woman. Antonio is sorry for pressurizing Bassanio to give the ring. Finally, Portia tells Bassanio he did give the ring to a man. She will now put another ring on his finger and he must not part with it till his death. She puts the same ring on Bassanio's finger, saying, "You gave it to a man." Nerissa too puts the same ring she took from Graciano on his finger. They are shocked as they now know that Portia was the wise young judge and Nerissa the clerk.
మీకు ఈ ఛానల్ కనుక నచ్చినట్టయితే లైక్ చేయండి, షేర్ చేయండి, కామెంట్ చేయండి. పక్కనే ఉన్న గంట కూడా కొట్టండి. ఈ ఛానల్ సబ్స్క్రైబ్ చేయడం మర్చిపోకండి. నమస్తే.